thank you so much for joining us this week for the County Executive's weekly media briefing. I'm Nordea Lewis with the Office of Public Information. As a reminder, this briefing is being recorded. Joining us today is Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich, Sean O'Donnell, Chief Deputy of Health and Human Services, Dr. Earl Stoddard, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, and we have a special guest today with us, Carmen Barrios Martinez, Division Chief from the Recreation Department. Reporters, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will take them at the end of the briefing. With that being said, over to you, County Executive.
So good day, everybody, and thanks for joining us again. We'll start with two interesting and important events in the county this week. Past Friday, I had the honor of celebrating Brigadier General Charles McGee's legacy at the dedication of the downtown Silver Spring Library in his name. General McGee was not only a local hero in the skies as a Tuskegee Airman, but also a hero in life, breaking barriers and inspiring generations. It was a very moving ceremony, and it underscored the importance of remembering and learning from history. On Sunday, we held the county's first ever community resource fair at the Executive Office Building in Rockville. This event brought together county agencies and our community partnerships to connect residents with resources they need. I want to thank the County Council and everyone who made this event a success. It was heartening to see so many people come out and engage. It was also difficult to hear from some of the stories about the struggles our residents are facing. We're committed to doing what we can, but there are often limits to what government alone can still achieve. Still, this event was useful, successful, and I hope the residents found it easy to access the information they needed, and we will be doing this again. Moving on to the rec department, I want to announce or let everybody know that this week I want to feature the work of the Montgomery County Rec Department, and we're extending our free rec pass program into next year. Our employees at Recreation provide opportunities that enhance the quality of life for our residents. They also offer programs that are much more than simply physical activities. They support mental health, foster community communications, and give people of all ages a chance to explore their interests and talents. I'm proud to announce that for the third year in a row, like I said, county gyms will be free. And the free pass applies to fully equipped fitness rooms, open gym activities, and game rooms at any community rec center. It does not apply to pool access, which still requires a daily or yearly fee. Earlier this year, I visited Wheaton Recreation Center and enjoyed meeting and talking with residents who use and count on these centers. I heard how much they matter to the community, and the only complaint they got from many of the users was that they wished the facility was open earlier and had longer hours. The cheapest gyms that anyone can belong to start at about $25 a month. That ends up to being $300 a year. Most gyms are more expensive than that, and a lot of people can't afford it. So that, with all that to say, we make it a little bit easier to stay fit and healthy. Additionally, our recreation department opened applications to the Summer Rec Assist program, which ensures that financial circumstances aren't a barrier to participating in programs. Equity is a core administration in our county, and even when it comes to our recreation offerings, we want to make sure that our opportunities and offerings are accessible to everyone, including those in need of financial assistance. To share more about these benefits and assistance that's available, I'm pleased to introduce Recreation Department Division Chief Carmen Barrios Martinez, who will provide more details on how these programs operate and how important they are to our residents. So, Carmen, I'm turning it over to you right now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Elrich, and hello to everyone. Recreation is pleased to be here to really talk about these two fabulous programs that we have that the county executive just mentioned. So the first one being the extension for the third year of our free memberships or free RecFit passes for our county residents. In 2023, the county executive was very supportive of recreation making what we call the big shift, which is really moving to more of a community benefit mindset where we let the mission drive the revenue instead of letting the revenue drive the mission. And so we were able to begin offering these passes for free to county residents. It's a $50 million yearly value to our customers. We have over 86,000 county residents who are actively using their free memberships this year, and it's a $500 million value to county residents. And so this is a really important initiative, not just for the health and wellness of our residents, but also for the success of the department. So we've seen a correlation, an increase in revenue and foot traffic. And while we can't say it's directly related to this, right, we definitely see the correlation between the two. In fact, foot traffic in our facilities is up 70% year over year since we initiated this program. So it's a very simple process, right? You come into any of our 22 recreation centers that are throughout the county. You show that you are a resident, and that could be a driver's license. It could be a utility bill for those who don't have a state issue government ID. And then you get your Rec Fit Pass. Like the county executive mentioned, it gives you access to the gyms, but also to drop-in activities like basketball, volleyball, pickleball, and also our game rooms, which have pool tables and ping pong tables and a number of other activities for all members of the family. For our Rec Assist program, which is the financial aid program that the department offers, we have opened registrations for 2025 Rec Assist. So Rec Assist offers county residents that are eligible $400 per calendar year to use towards recreation programs and services like summer camp, swim lessons, ballet, dance, whatever it may be. So if you receive county assistance, public assistance from another county agency like HHS or Montgomery County Public Schools, then you may qualify for Rec Assist. There are 11 programs that you can qualify for Rec Assist. And once those funds are on your account, again, you can use that to help decrease the cost of activities and programs by 80%. So Rec Assist will cover 80% of whatever activity it is that you wanted to participate in. This program is available to all county residents as well. Oftentimes we focus on our children, but it is available to individuals of any age, including our 55 plus community.
Thank you so much for that, Carmen. If anyone has any questions regarding this topic, only this topic, please raise your hand. Questions going once? Twice? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Carmen. You are free to sign off at any time. And with that, County Executive, I'll hand it back to you.
Again, thank you, Carmen, and we're going to continue to help Rec Department get the word out about all these opportunities that we have for our residents. I want to talk a little bit about county budget projections. We're in that season again, and we're starting to put together our budgets for the year that'll begin July 1. I'd like to share some good news first regarding the county's fiscal outlook. Our Office of our Office of Management and Budget has provided a fiscal update to our plan with an upward revision in revenues. FY25 reserves are up $132 million, not reserves, revenues are up $132 million. FY26 revenues are up 127, almost $128 million. And the FY24 preliminary year and closeouts results show an additional $63.6 million in reserves, which puts us at the 15.8 reserve level, well above the county's 10% reserve policy. So that's good news going into the coming year, given the number of uncertainties we may have about the coming year. These increases are driven by strong income tax collections and property tax performance. However, it's important to emphasize these numbers don't automatically carry the same certainty that they might have in a normal year. We know we're dealing with a new presidential administration and a Republican-controlled Congress, and we're not making any assumptions, positive or negative, about what's to come. But we also know that we're likely to see changes. The same certainly wouldn't have been true in a normal year. So we're being careful about what we do in putting this budget together. But I'd rather be in this position than be looking up a budget cliff and having to wonder what else happens next. At least I think we've got some room to work with. The difference in our projections compared to the state stems from our more cautious approach. We had projected a potential recession into last year, while the state did not. So the prudence of making that decision has set us up pretty well. And another bit of news, ride-on ridership is up now. According to the American Public Transportation Association's latest report, Ride-On saw a 20% increase in ridership over the past year, ranking second in the nation among transit systems of its size. That's more than 18.5 million rides this year compared to 15.4 million the year before, and that's a pretty significant jump. It's 3 million more rides. This progress is especially encouraging as transit systems across the country continue to recover from the impacts of the pandemic. Right now, Ride-On ridership is about 90% of pre-COVID levels. For FY24, for example, we carried 58,000 riders on an average weekday, and 18.3 million riders for the year. We're on a pace to reach 19.3 million rides, which is closing in on our FY19 pre-pandemic peak of 20.6 million rides. So that's good news for ridership, good news that more people are back using the bus. That certainly helps us with congestion. And the bulk of our growth has been on our traditional fixed route services. For example, our busiest route is Route 55, which connects Rockville to Germantown. It's up 23% compared to pre-pandemic levels. And the flash service is also doing well with an 8% increase over last year and a remarkable 56% growth since it was launched. While our flex ridership service is still modest, carrying over a little over 100 riders per day with limited service, we remain committed to adopting it to better meet the needs of the community. The success is a testament to the investments we've made in Ride-On and making it more accessible and responsive to our community's initiatives. And we've taken steps like zero emission buses, Ride-On Extra, and Flash Bus Rapid Transit, which all give reliable, sustainable options to get to work, school, and other destinations. I want to thank the Department of Transportation and everyone involved in these efforts for their hard work, and we need to keep this momentum going. I encourage residents to give Ride-On a try if you haven't yet. It's affordable, reliable, and one of the best ways to move around our county. We also got more good news from our procurement department. This morning, I attended the Ready, Set, Grow Procurement Connections workshop in Summer Spring, which helps connect vendors with state agencies. Special Secretary Maria Martinez joined us, and I shared some excellent news about our procurement efforts with the attendees. In FY24, the county spent a record $248 million with minority, female, disabled-owned firms, an all-time high for the program. That is nearly $250 million, the highest amount since the program's inception. It represents about a 23.5% of the total eligible dollars for MFD participation. So that's pretty significant. We awarded $130.5 million in contracts to local small business reserve businesses, reflecting a 30% increase in participation over the past decade and a 74% increase in the spending. This is the highest percentage spent with local small businesses since the program began in 2009. These achievements are a testament to the county's continuous improvement efforts for our procurement department, and we're going to continue to break the monopolies of the good old boy networks and do what we can to ensure a level playing field in the competition. I can only do so much in the private sector, but we are able to influence and control where and how county money is being spent, and we know we can still do more. Our Office of Procurement annually participates in about 40 regional outreach exercises and 30 co-hosted events with outside events with local organizations. So that's a lot of activity for our department. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And if you've not reported yet on the work they've been doing and local and minority businesses, they are giving opportunities to. I encourage you folks in the press out there to reach out and talk to them. They've got good stories to tell. Mako Winter Conference is coming up this week, and this week I'm going to attend the annual Mako Association of Counties Winter Conference. It was always a valuable exchange with my peers from across the state, and I expect recent elections and the state budget deficit are going to be prominent topics there. I look forward to discussions on housing, transportation infrastructure, health, childcare, and the blueprint for Maryland's future education funding. These conversations are vital as we navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. Let us be clear, we can't make progress on any of these issues without revenues. Many of you heard me say this before. Virginia is beating us in economic development. Maryland ranked number 31, Virginia ranked number 1 in the nation for business. And they're killing us in transportation. They ranked number 3 in the nation. Maryland ranked number 34. There's an enormous tie between what you do with transportation and your success in bringing companies to any given state. And Maryland has transportation programs have seriously lagged, and Virginia's have seriously advanced over the past dozen or so years, and we're beginning to see how this all plays out. Here's a big secret that nobody mentions except us, is that businesses in Virginia are willing to pay more taxes than they do here. And why? Because they get more money if they choose us. It doesn't cost them as much, but they get more other things if they choose Virginia. So this is a case of being the cheap date is not necessarily going to get you more dates. If someone is eating at lunch, you better learn how they're doing it. And I've been trying to get folks to focus on that. If people feel that Virginia's eating our lunch, we ought to be paying attention to what they did. They invested enormously on transportation. They did not rely on residents' taxes. They put the taxes out there in a way that it fell most heavily on commercial property. And the money was used that they collected from the special taxing districts to put back in the transportation. That's a big deal. We have a pretty simple plan, pretty straightforward plan for going forward. And it's 3 basic steps. First, if we get the authority from the state this year, let's pass our local differential taxation for counties bill. It makes no sense that a municipality in the state may tax residential and commercial properties at a different rate than at different rates. But in a county, you can't do that. So Montgomery County can't have a separate rate for commercial and residential. Well, the municipalities in the county are able to do that. Virginia and the district, their taxes don't look like Montgomery County's taxes. Their rates are much higher than ours. District goes up to $1.09 per 100 in assessed value. And Fairfax County and Tyson's Corners around $1.51, $1.52 on commercial property, and we're at about $1.04. So they're taxing commercial at a much higher rate. The rules in Virginia are if you tax usually special taxing districts, money has to be used for transportation, which is something we would agree to here. And with that money, Virginia's been able to build an awful lot of transportation over the past decade, something we have not been able to do. So this needs to change because the tax structure puts an unnecessary burden on residents. It needs to change most importantly because the tax structure keeps us from raising enough money to address our transportation needs. And everybody in the economic world talks about transportation being a critical factor in more urban environments in terms of economic development. I would say it's as plain as day to anybody who looks at it that Virginia gained an enormous advantage with their ability to plan and pay for significant infrastructure growth, which helped attract major economic development players to their state, and that we did not, despite being lower in the tax burden. We need to make sure that people who are paying taxes know where their money is going, which we can't say today when we have an impact of tax on a developer. And they need to understand how it's going to benefit them. That is why Virginia crafted Northern Virginia Transportation Authority from a bill that the Republican legislature passed, and the Republican governor signed it. And it was supported by the Northern Virginia Democratic elected officials. We need to remember that other regulatory tax issues are serious, such as combined reporting, fair share taxes, our energy tax rate, as well as overly burdensome approval processes, such as having to deal with both county government and park and planning in the project approval process. I think, everybody agrees when they look at the data that we can't get by on the status quo anymore. We need a different approach. We need to stop trying to be the cheapest place in town and figure out how we actually have the best infrastructure in the region. That would do more to boost our economic presence and our economic growth than lowering the rates will ever do, because we've lowered them 6 times over the last decade or so. And despite lowering our rates 6 times, we're still not attracting businesses at the pace that Virginia is. So I'm going to turn it over now to our HHS team for all their updates. And we'll be back for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. Very light set of updates this week. We just want to remind our public and our residents that this is the high season for respiratory disease. We're very fortunate that at this time we have not seen COVID transmissions go up. But we do know that this is historically when they do start to increase. We have had a higher level of RSV, which is another respiratory disease, and that has been largely affecting our school-age children and very young children as well. But it's even more dangerous for our seniors. So if you do have a young person who has a cold or respiratory disease, please, again, try to protect those more vulnerable folks. And again, we're starting to see just a little increase in our in influenza transmissions now, but historically those really increase over the next few weeks. So if you have not gotten that annual flu shot, that annual COVID booster, now is still a really good time to get that and try to protect yourself and your family before we go into the holidays. Those are all the updates I have. Wanted to see if Dr. Stoddard has anything to add.
Nothing to add this week.
Thank you so much, Sean. Right now, we will just take general questions. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Jenny?
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, Mark. You
Hey.
spoke a little bit about the your desire to increase transportation taxing districts and things like that. Today, as you know, the council voted to override your veto of the development impact tax changes to those districts. Could you talk a little bit about your reaction to their decision?
I think in a lot of ways, I don't comprehend the logic of it. We already have lowered rates 6 times. And when I hear people say we're doing something to be competitive, when you are factually the lowest tax jurisdiction in the region on property taxes on commercial property, you're not gaining any economic advantage by continuing to lower tax rates. If that had been the secret sauce to economic development, we would not be trailing Virginia the way we are. We have a lot of things and metrics that are really positive for us, but our transportation programs lag behind what Virginia's been able to fund, and continuing to lower the amount of money we get from development in order to do this doesn't make any sense. As I've said before, if you're in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, commercial property is paying over $1.51. They've got a Northern Virginia Transit Authority, which pumps in, like $500 million a year to a group of Northern Virginia counties that they use for transportation infrastructure. And Virginia has a 3% gross receipts tax on all commercial businesses, which brings in Fairfax County $200 million a year. Montgomery County has no program that brings in that much money, brings in any money really from the commercial sector, other than the energy tax. And this is much larger impact on their businesses than the energy tax would be. So Virginia's gone a very different path. Obviously, they're a lot more successful than us. And I guess continuing to not want to look at how you do things differently or not act on how you do things differently is frustrating. The council said that they're going to take up looking at special taxing districts. The county is already working on this project. Hopefully, we can work together in evaluating what can be done. We are working with people who help set up Virginia special taxing districts. We've got a fair amount of expertise at our disposal right now, and there's just no excuse to continue with impact taxes. The impact taxes, they yield money, but they don't yield them in a way that you can bond against it. So it's never been useful for us on transportation projects. And in terms of developers, the money that they pay doesn't even necessarily go to projects in the area where the money came from. So, which adds even more to their irritation. So I've been trying to fix this for years. Hopefully this is the year we finally fix it. But digging the hole deeper and giving away more money is not the thing we should be doing. And we don't need to do it to be competitive. It's just, that's just a patently false argument.
What would you say that your next steps would be now that this has happened? Like what within your purview, what you would do?
Well, we'll deal with it. I mean, we'll lower the expected revenues. That'll, of course, reduce the amount of money available for schools and transportation. We've done it before based on council action, so we'll do it again. But it's not good. It just makes it harder to deal with. We will, there's legislation that'll be in Annapolis that'll authorize the county. It won't tell the county what to do, but it'll give them the ability to do things differently. Hopefully we can have these discussions and figure out where we want to go quickly so we can put something in place for the next fiscal year, or at least be certain it's in the year after that. So we can start getting enough money in on a regular year-over-year basis that would enable us to bond fund the transportation projects, just like Virginia bond funds transportation projects. I mean, it's like I said, it astounds me that people spend so much time talking about how glorious Virginia is for development, and they don't talk about the tax rates they pay and also what they get for the taxes, and how the business community there is in the forefront of leading the effort to get taxed. It's just astounding, but it is what it is.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Does anyone else have questions? Questions going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, I think we're good. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this week's County Executive Weekly Media Briefing. Any last words, County Executive? No?
Hope everybody has a good week. Getting close to the holiday time. Maybe even a couple of days off for everybody.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. We'll see you next time.